matter what you want. It doesn't matter how you feel. We are answerable to the people of Tuftonboro. They're telling us what to do. Now, whether or not, we just want to fall over and say, fine, do whatever you want.
I guess the thing that I have, the thing is that we have an issue with some land in Tuftonboro. We're not all of a sudden, this isn't something new. We're asking to do it. It was part of the original. That's where I'm having the problem with what you're saying. You're saying we're now moving into Tuftonboro. This was always part of the bigger project. What happened there is we're trying to fix that portion of it. You see it as moving down and taking time.
So when you purchased the property from Stockman or Witten originally, was it their understanding that their land was going to be impacted on the Tuftonboro side?
Yes.
So included in the purchase and sale of that property, there's information that your project extends into Tuftonboro for whatever reason.
We show the right-of-way covenants. We have a 40-foot right-of-way.
Yeah.
We showed the groundwater discharge zones, and that's where it was, again, these maps here, and the map I had at the Selectmen's meeting was the original maps from '07, which showed the discharge zone being in this area.
In this area?
No,
Nope.
across the road.
Over there?
Yep. And I
Again.
think that's where we're having the trouble, is because you see us moving in, and we've
No,
always
you're already
been.
there.
We were there from the beginning, and it was all laid out, and it was very clear that that was going to be there. And I think that's where, at least that's where I feel like I'm reacting to you.
So you did a taking prior to this?
The difference is that the impact was anticipated to be all underground, is that right?
That's correct.
So
That's
nothing on the surface,
correct.
all somewhere deep underground. It's broken out now, and so now it's come to the surface, huh?
But you effectively did a taking when you bought the land, if that's the case. You already, if impacted this.
Let's say that the Wittens at that point knew that it was there, they sold, they got a bunch of money for the land, and they had no problem with it coming out there.
Okay, because if
That I
somebody
think
else
is-
bought that land, their assumption would be that they could put a house there.
That would be incorrect, because again, it's steep slope, it was already wetlands, it was not developable, which is why it wasn't much of a concern.
All right,
I think that's where we're having the difference between you and me, is that seems to be what I'm having the reaction to, because that's always part of it. And you see it as all of us moving into Tuftonboro, and I think that's,
Well, you are, you're buying property or taking it.
but we already, it was all part of the discharge
If
there.
it's all part of the discharge area, we come back to my first question at the Wolfboro meeting, is why do you need to own the property? And
We don't technically need to own it.
Yep.
It was the wishes of the property owner that we purchased it versus a lease. We do need to have control over it for the life of the project. Right? So it makes more sense for us to own it and take all the liability, which we've already taken, that responsibility for.
Just a question, when you purchased that land, was that a possibility of future expansion of
No.
the system?
Nope. No, we thought at that time 600,000 was more than enough, and again, it was,
Need restrictions.
It matched our plant capacity.
you're right,
Didn't
that's
it?
the master plan. Yeah.
Plant capacity, so we looked at and DES wanted us to do that, to match the plant's capacity with our effluent disposal.
I don't have all the facts memorized, but I believe that you had failures in that system back in 2009 or thereabouts.
Yes, that's when it first started. Yeah.
So, and how much we were applying then?
We started off close to the permit capacity the first few months, and then it's slowly been
What was that?
600,000 gallons a day.
So 600,000, so your permit is up to 600, yeah, you have 600,000.
No, we've now renewed the permit every 5 years, so we're down to 340, and we're up for another renewal, which will be
If I was in your shoes, I'd be looking, well, geez, I've got 250,000 gallons of expansion capacity there. You looking at, town of Wolfboro looking down the road, if they had to expand the system, because the voters said, we want additional area at Seward, there's your 250,000 gallons, and there's your acreage, to
Well,
put in additional fields.
there's more acreage between there and the sand.
No. I'm just saying, looking at it from that perspective. And again, the concern to me as a Tuftonboro resident, is that's our aquifer. And we're putting stuff that we don't really know all the potential impacts in, and there's no argument whatsoever that they're coming from septic systems, from beaches, yada yada. But that is something, there's not a whole lot of anything on that aquifer. And as we're trying to protect the Great Marsh aquifer, this is right up there too, because there's not a whole lot of development on it.
And as David said, there's no place else for them to go. So one would assume from that statement that if they get this piece of property, and let's say it's 25 years from now, and there's more need from Wolfboro, obviously the expansion's going to continue into Tuftonboro, because they can't go into Wolfboro.
But I think what you're not realizing out here, to do that expansion, the cost on a 1,000 users and onto the town, it's the same thing that controls what happens in your town will control in ours. Wastewater treatment and piping stuff is very expensive. You know, to say that we're just gonna, we'll do that, that would be.
It's not without its problems, but it'd be a voter item, you put it on a bond, there's a way, you have the mechanism and potentially the land to expand. That's, to me, is, and again, I don't really want to get into that. That's for you guys to figure out. My concern is that water chemistry and getting a good understanding of what that water chemistry is, so that everybody, Tuftonboro residents, Tuftonboro selectmen, Wolfboro selectmen, Wolfboro residents know what's in there, and then you can make adjustments as you go along. You're establishing a baseline now of what's there and not there, and then tracking to see what kind of changes you have going forward. That's, to me, is what we try to work to get USGS involved.
I'm sorry, Alyssa?
Okay, you're studying them out. My understanding is the Witten Trust got $1.2 million for selling that 30-acre parcel. Did Tuftonboro object to them selling it for the stated use? Is that not allowed in Tuftonboro, or
It
was
was
that
all
an
in
issue?
Wolfboro. We didn't have standing. The land that Wolfboro purchased from the Witten Trust was all in Wolfboro.
That was just in Wolfboro. And are they allowed to sell that 6 acres? If you're concerned about it,
Well, that's only one of the steps. I mean, we can go on, and I don't think either of the parties here from Wolfboro have a full grasp on it, nor do I, on the significance of the eminent domain proposition. But I think Wolfboro can purchase the property. I don't
Yes.
think there's any way we can keep them from doing that. What we can do at that juncture, and hopefully before that, is come up with some sort of agreement as to what's going to happen.
your concern is the use of that.
Well, at that point, we are parties, and at that point, we can get involved in how the property's used. It's not zoned for an industrial disposal site. It's not zoned for commercial septic
What's a gravel pit
disposal.
considered?
I'm sorry?
What's a gravel pit considered?
It's in a low-density residential.
You have a gravel pit approved for the lot.
Right, we went through the permitting processes to do that. So just because your neighbor's doing X doesn't mean you don't have to go through the same hoops to do X. So we have to, that whole process, now we can get involved. But until the land changes hands, we can't. And so the
But if
issue
they
is,
come up with a price that Wolfboro.
I think it would be hard pressed to stop them from purchasing it. I mean, Wolfboro can purchase land in Tuftonboro.
And it should be noted that once we do acquire the property one way or another, we will be coming to the town conservation commission because there will be a wetland permit for the restoration. So they will be, at that point, the conservation commission will chime in as they do on normal permits. So when it does come to, so they will be involved at least in the wetland permitting process. So we'll get them the plans early on so they can be involved in the design development also, so they have comments when we get them early.
Good. I think we've had kind of a wide-ranging and a long conversation today. And Dave and Linda, I thank you for coming. to meet with us today, and let me reiterate that going forward, it's important that we find a solution that works.
Absolutely.
Works for Tuftonboro, works for Wolfboro.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you, you too.
See you later. Bye-bye.
No, the meeting isn't adjourned, but you're
No,
welcome to
I
leave
just
it.
stand
Yeah,
Oh, everyone's bailing.
we're just standing up for a moment, stretch the legs.
We're just getting started.
Now the real meeting begins.
And now the regular,
I gotta ask you a question.
we've lost Floyd.
So it's an stretch.
Yeah,
You got busy, you have very busy Monday mornings.
yep, that's right.
It's surprising to me
All he has, but he doesn't talk.
that they thought that we weren't gonna put up some sort of resistance.
You know,
So you're just,
like he's my boss.
so you're listening to him.
It's all like you know him. It's all you know.
So then I took it to him.
Ask Larry.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. He's a lot smarter.
No proof of that. No proof of that.
All right.
You're carrying more paper.
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
So let's go to the signature file.
Make a copy. Thanks for coming in, Steve.
The first item is I have intents to excavate for PIDs 16-2-19, 33-2-4, 32-2-6, and 32-2-12.
Read.
These are the annual excavation permits for,
Oh, okay.
for
That's
existing,
all of them, not just
existing,
one.
yeah, right,
Okay.
right. So we, I will entertain a motion for approval of those.
I'll move approval.
Okay. Do I hear a second? I will second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right.
Tonight is. At 12. Do you have any kids? Elementary school or- The school board meeting tonight, and, the meetings go throughout the district, so it's always the best for this one to take the pretty impressed. And I think they're doing water quality monitoring, with Green Mountain Conservation Group, and they do their math. Oh, what? You're catching the papers.
Yep. Next item is a supplemental warrant. This is for collection of supplemental taxes for the betterment easement up at Zadida Farm. The total amount of the warrant is $4,560.
I'll move approval. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Next item is from the Lakes Region Planning Commission. It's a memorandum of understanding for a follow-on purchase power agreement negotiation. We entered into a contract for purchase power in October of 2017, and it was for a one-year term. In this memorandum of understanding signifies our intent to enter into negotiation for a follow-on contract that will start when this one ends and may extend for a term longer than 1 year. So,
I have a question.
yes, sir.
I know that you've been intimately involved in that.
Yeah.
Did I read in the Tufton Road Times that we've saved the town about $1,800, or is that the projected savings?
That may be the projected
Right.
savings, yeah. We pay, right now, we pay about $0.015 per kilowatt hour less than the co-op's current power rate. It isn't huge, but it is.
Every $1,000 saved
It
is
is
$1,000
something,
saved.
right,
I'll move the question.
okay.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think this just requires one signature. So let's look at this doesn't commit us to anything other than it being involved in negotiation. Okay. I have a Veterans Tax Credit application for 57-2-15. This is for a standard $500 veterans credit. And actually, I have two of them here. Another one for 34-2-10.
I'll move approval on both.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's see.
Sign here. There we are.
Next item, I have a gravel tax levy in the amount of $46.76 for 32-2-6. And I have a gravel tax levy in the amount of $124.15 for 32-2-12.
I'll move approval on both.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Have a notice of intent to cut for 30, and this PID on this. 65-3-2. 60 acres.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. couple of items in here that were set aside in earlier meetings. The one on putting the tax cards online, we were gonna get somebody from Avatar to come talk to us, right? So,
Wouldn't mind.
well, no, that's good. And the other thing is signing the contract for the septic replacement at the library. I wanna make sure before we get that signed that the location of the box is,
Didn't Jack get involved in that one?
he did. And
Maybe he'll come back before we end
Yep.
today.
so we'll leave that one to the side.
I will say on this, for the record, since we had our last meeting, with my other job, I've gone to 4 towns with my other job to get tax cards. You know, I paid my $1 and I get reimbursed for it. Every one of those towns have gone to it. They pay about $2 grand. And, you know, without asking a loaded question, I said, how does it work? All was positive. So I'm leaning away from from your position.
That's fine, and I just need a little more information
Yeah.
before I decide.
All right, I have a right of burial for, this is the Town Hall Cemetery, Section F, lots 41 through 44. So,
I'll move approval.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. Now, what are we doing here? This is
Thank you.
a current use application for 18-2-30.
And assessors looked at this.
Yeah, and the assessor recommended approval. So, I'll entertain a motion.
And how big a property, piece of property?
12.36 acres.
Is my initial on there?
I'm sorry, on this?
On that?
On this?
I don't know if I reviewed it. Nope.
Yeah, that just came in
You wanna take a
today.
look at it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's brand new.
Yeah, that just came in this morning.
Okay, because I hadn't reviewed that.
Hmm?
I hadn't seen it either.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she slipped it in right at the,
I have no problem
yeah,
with it.
actually, the total is 15.36 acres and 3 acres is wetland. So that's how it is to 12 and something.
So they're holding out 5 acres, obviously for the house.
For the house,
Yeah.
the barn.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll move approval.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Just an editorial comment on our gravel tax. Which seems a bit ridiculous. You had approximately between $60,000 and $70,000 worth of product come out, and the tax on it was $46.
Yes.
And with the $46, we are now supposed to do all of the gravel pit monitoring and closure permits and all the rest of it. I mean, something's gotta give. Either the state's gonna have to step up a little bit, or maybe they should review the gravel taxes or something.
Yes.
How you gotta- this-
How many yards have you moved in your lifetime? A million?
Lots.
All right. Okay. Got some action correspondence here. Yeah, we're good for that. All right, we have here a quote for a new laptop computer to replace one that's, the old one is dead, is that right?
Yes,
Karen?
well, it has, my personal one.
No, I'm talking about the town's one.
That has XP on it, so we're
Okay,
advised not to use
all
it
right.
anymore.
So we're looking at,
And who
It's
uses
now
it?
disposed of.
huh? Karen uses a laptop when we're up at the townhouse, when she's at,
Okay.
in those.
What do we do with the old one?
situations.
The hard drive was taken out and it was disposed of.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I was concerned
So-
with, is there any town
so we-
information?
Yeah, $830, and we have money in the budget for this?
We have supply money, that wasn't, that particular item was not put in the budget. so.
Okay. If we got sufficient, I don't want us to run out of paper late in the year because we bought a new laptop now.
I know what you're saying, yes, to answer your question, there's sufficient. And I wanna say there was something else we did, the copier. If it
Oh,
makes
the
anybody feel
printer.
any better, that actually.
We're saving $300 on that printer.
As well as the page per print cost, so
Okay,
it would help offset
all
that.
right.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Arr.
yeah. All right. We have a correspondence with notification here from White Horse Addiction Center for their third annual Freedom Event, silent auction and dinner fundraiser this Friday, April 6th, from 5:30 to 8:30 at First Congregational Church of Ospey in Center Ospey. Anybody wants to participate?
I'm gonna go to that meeting at the Tamworth Library
Good.
tomorrow.
Good.
So,
All right, have a letter here from the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources informing us that Lucknow, Castle in the Clouds, will soon be considered by the New Hampshire State Historical Resources Council for nomination to the National Register of Historical Places. And it's many paragraphs explaining the whole process, but if we wish to comment on whether the property should be nominated to the National Register, we've got until the 26th of April at the State Division of Historical Resources to make our opinion known.
I just have one little opinion
Yeah.
about it. It's really an unfortunate name, and I'm not certain what Clint would have chosen it, but I would assume that Lucknow was the site of probably the worst massacre of indigenous people in India by the British,
Yeah,
and one would think maybe we shouldn't memorialize that, but
That's what it was named for, castle.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Similar circular
all right.
outcropping.
Have an email here from Representative Marsh, letting us know that House Bill 1802 was designated as inexpedient to legislate, which means it didn't get passed. Yep. So, and that was the one on,
School funding, or the school tax.
yeah, that was the one that takes the statewide property tax and diverts the excess directly to the state general fund. Essentially increasing our local taxes by $1 million something a year.
Exponential.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. It
Uh,
was close to 3 million.
We received notification from the state DES that our grant for reimbursement on milfoil control for the year has been approved. And I apologize, I don't have that number. It's, I think it's 25% of what we expend this year that they will reimburse. It's, Right, we have a question here from Karen on credit card versus debit card. We'd had the conversation before about whether wanted to look at a debit card, and Diane says she prefers a credit card. I think I agree with that, that a debit card provides direct access into the town's checking account, whereas a credit card has got a step in there
Right.
before it gets paid, so,
You need a
So-
motion?
so we're looking to add a credit card, one that will be under Jack Parsons and can be used for purchases here at the town offices.
And what's the limit?
There is the two current cards, police chief and fire chief each have a $1,000 limit, and we've had a request that be increased to $2,000.
At least two, they said.
And so
Yeah.
it would seem appropriate to me that all of the cards have a $2,000 limit. And
I've asked the department heads about this, and they've explained, they go to order something for their cruisers or their trucks, and these companies won't send you a bill, and they just won't take your business unless you give them a credit card number. So, can I make a motion that, I'll ask, I want all three cards to be $2,000 limits. Do we need to go two motions, or do it in one?
I think we can do it in one motion.
So, my motion will be, however you want to word it, that we go $2,000 for Jack and $2,000 on the other two cards.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me.
Aye.
I'm sorry. All in favor? Yeah. Okay. Motion passes. This is an email regarding solid waste regional joint contracting. LRPC is exploring the possibility of a regional joint contract for Lakes Region towns' solid waste. Would like to gather information in order to help towns find the best contract. And again, this is along the lines of what we're trying to do in some other areas with a cooperative arrangement, a larger volume on contract has the potential to get better pricing. And so they're asking for sharing information on our volumes, on our waste volumes. I think you passed that along to Clay, right? Okay?
Absolutely.
And I,
On that note,
yeah.
he drafted me, I went to Alton with